Well, our course title is now person-centred
Is it?
care, but actually listening to yourselves, I think it's something that's always been done, but obviously it's higher, more visible because of this term now. And yeah, for me, it's about looking at the bigger picture, involving patients, but also involving their family members, and it's been being person-centred not only to the patient, seeing them as a person, but also seeing their family members, and that's wider support network. Like you say, getting them involved, and the real sense of community, which from your stories, you've definitely had that, neighbours helping and things like that.
Lily, what does person-centred mean to you?
I'm struggling to think of something.
It doesn't need to be related.
No, it doesn't need to.
No. I keep thinking about these care plans and that, and I think the one thing that I would always find was that you really had to be careful not to take over the patient, not take them over, help them, teach them, direct them maybe, but still let them feel that they had something to do on their own and some goal to achieve, as opposed to saying that we'll do it this way and that's how it's to be and that's what's going to happen. I think you've got to watch what you're doing, really.
What I used to really think was very important was, terminal care. I mean, I used to think it was very important that the person, before they became very terminally ill, was able to confide in you what their wishes were rather than what was advised. I used to always say to them that it is possible to do what you want, and if you feel at this stage that you want to stay at home, or if you want to, what you feel would be best, and many of them wanted to die in their own beds, as they used to say. We did our own terminal care. If somebody was terminally ill, we went to them in the evening and we went to them in the night, and that was just part of our work. We always felt it was a great relief to the relatives that they were able to do what they wanted. And I really think that that's a thing that we seem to be trying to do again, I think, as far as I can see from the community perspective, and what I can read and what I can see what you girls are doing, is to try and give people the opportunity to do what the end of life thing is, what they want to do.
I think we do still, I do anyway, still have a lot of people saying to me, you're the nurse, you decide, it's not up to me. So I think, just being involved in that communication and that conversation with people, and just having the time, having the discussion about whatever their care might be, to let them know that they can decide, and that you give them advice or options or sort of explaining things to let them make informed decisions really about their care, and it's. I mean, again, going back to the hospital and the difference between the hospital and here, I think in the hospital everything was around, you did a drug round, you get your drugs at this time, you get your dressing done at this time, because we decide, that's how the ward works. But I think going into people's houses and having that relationship,
it's opposite.
It really provides that opportunity to do that,
I think it's part of it's empowering people. I think one story that I have is a lady who was referred to us for a continence assessment, and we thought it was quite a simple continence assessment. It was a lady with MS, and when I went out to her, she wasn't interested in getting any containment, or she'd failed at self-intermittent catheterisation, and she asked if she could get a long-term catheter, which I then discussed with the GP. And we went with her decision of putting a long-term catheter in, and when I visited her 12 weeks after, she said it had been amazing, the difference it had made to her quality of life. Because she wasn't falling anymore, because she wasn't going to rush into the toilet and being unsteady on her feet, and she was able to go out and not worry about where the toilet was. So that was quite water, seeing the difference it made.
I was interested, Gail, you were talking about identifying health needs. Was that in a kind of an informal way?
No, I think it was. I think it was quite formal, because I think that's the other thing we were taught in our course was nutrition. Nutrition was high on our course, and dietetics. And when you think back, I keep forgetting there's lots of people we had in to give us expert opinions on things, and it was more to do with the nutrition and what foods would give you that. So, and that was all so linked to healing.
Yes.
That it was part and parcel. So when we did our care plan, we didn't have to think that you talked about their diet or elimination or all of that. It was so ingrained as if you don't eat and your bowels don't work. That was very much the basics of it. So I think it was about health and preventing. Especially we've done a lot of long-term conditions, so it was keeping the person well. In all of the aspects, and they say there weren't dietitians that we could call on as there are now. Or I remember doing a lot of physiotherapy, and we had training in physiotherapy too, basics, apart from making a bag, but we did have all of that, and there was lots of other things that there weren't people there at that time to do, so you had to tap into. Now you would maybe get a dietitian in. Actually, sometimes that doesn't work, because some people don't want another person in, or they don't understand it, or they feel they're getting told to do something. So it's that constant monitoring of, if you're in the house, you're in the kitchen, even just to put something through, and you always used to check the fridge and the dates, and or you knew if the toilet was never used, or there was just things you used to kind of pick up on. So it was very much about keeping healthy, because nobody wanted to get into hospital. That was a dread even then. Nobody wanted, and people didn't go in and out of hospital as often.
No.
I suppose I was kind of thinking you had said about, for example, there was a need for the kind of daycare. There wasn't that established, so therefore you did it. So, and more broadly, so for you girls, you do a community profile and health needs assessment. Does that resonate with you in terms of that?
I think we did it, but it was not written down.
Right.
It wasn't formally done. You talk about dietitians and whatnot. We did that, and rehabilitation. Now that was, in actual fact, we each, as well, certainly in the area I did my district nursing, and we were actually tested. That was one of the things during our Queen's thing. We had to show that we have how we were rehabilitating, and we had to, on our case, they looked at the case notes to see what you were doing and how it was progressing. So that was part of your district nurse examination, if you like, the exam.
It's been lovely meeting everybody today. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been great hearing all the stories and looking at photos and looking at all the different bits of equipment. And yes, I think things have changed what we use, but at the same time, really not a lot has changed. We're still talking about person-centred care, and it's been really good. It's been a really enjoyable day. Good. Thank you for spending the time to come.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it too. As I said, when I came in, I chose the maze because I had no idea what I could possibly contribute to anything, because our technological skills were nothing compared to the technological skills that you have now. And I thought that's what that seems to be all everybody's interested in. And I'm so glad somebody mentioned laughing and fun, because I actually spoke to one of the community nurses recently, and she said to me, "Oh, what I do miss is the laughs, the fun we had." And I think it was maybe, we possibly do have some fun now, but we did have fun. And I don't know if we were a wee bit kind of simple in that kind of way, but what we found funny was different. I don't know, but that's what she said. And I thought, oh, that's a shame if you don't have fun, because quite honestly, I think you would go nuts if you didn't have something to totally empty your mind of the massive responsibility you have. And I think that's the thing that it's a massive responsibility you have when you go out there into the community.
it feels like a privilege to be in the building where such a lot of nursing experience and wisdom has been imparted. So we're still there. But thank you for today. Thank you for facilitating. And thank you for
maybe do it again
for lunch, and thank you all, most of all, for giving up your time to be with us today.
I was telling the others I went to a conference in Paris, and it was for European nurses, and it was called Wisdom of the Past and Strategies for the Future. And it was amazing. And I thought when I came today, what's this going to be? Somebody has had this thing about wisdom. And I thought, well, that's maybe what it's about, wisdom of the past and your strategy for the future. I don't know.
I think that's very much a part of our strategy. Sorry, the problem with the circle is, unless I'm in it and someone can't see, is part of our new strategy at QNIS is to make those connections between going forward and the wisdom and the tradition, what we've inherited. You are very modern Queen's nurses compared with our ancestors from sort of the beginning of the 20th century. So we're keen to learn from our history and bring that experience to bear in contemporary community nursing, because every generation seems to need to reinvent itself, but I don't want to leave behind our heritage.